Hello, men, women, and men. You're here to watch a video on Hellblade Senua's Saga. With the upcoming Hellblade 2 coming out, I decided to finally bite down on that grit, like I'm taking it up the rear end by a giant strap-on, and finally play through this game. Now, I've tried to play through this game in the past, and I have to tell you that some of these third-person walking sim type games can infuriate me to a level that they should not infuriate me. I mean, I'm talking inverted manhood. I'm turtling, baby, when I play a lot of this shit. It just, like, and the way this game starts, too, is just such a slog. I mean, you're even on a log. It's just kind of crazy how, like, tiring this intro is, and you just have this like constant rattling babble where it's just in your head. I mean, I purposely use the game soundtrack because in the soundtrack it has rattling babble, and that's one thing that it's one of my big gripes with this game. It is why I have put this game down time and time again, because of the incoherent babbling. And I get it, and let's talk about this before we get into the video too far. I understand that mental issue or illness is a real problem in the world. I understand that schizophrenia is a serious topic. I understand the type of work they went into behind the scenes, talking with actual therapists to make this the most realistic feeling schizo rant game in the world. And they do pull that off. Am I gonna say it's not annoying as shit at times? No, I'm not. Just because it's realistic doesn't mean that I can't be annoyed by it. I don't have schizophrenia. I understand what it is, but it gets annoying as shit at times. It's just like when Mimir and fucking whatever Atreus won't shut the fuck up in God of War. It's the same issue I'm gonna have with this game. I feel like there's a lot of comparisons that can be pulled with God of War and this too, but we'll get to that. I want to continue talking about this schizo bitch. And oh no, he made a bad funny. That's another thing I'm not gonna shy away from. If I don't make fun of something, I feel like I'm belittling it, right? I feel like if I don't make fun of something because I feel like they're too weak to handle it, that's looking down on somebody, and I don't do that, baby. I am fucking, first and foremost, I am for equal treatment of people. I don't think you should, like, look at somebody because they have crutches and be like, you're a bitch! Like, obviously that's rude. But in, like, the point of me being, like, in my metaphorical YouTube stage, I'm going to make jokes throughout this video. I'm going to say outlandish shit. And that does not mean that I don't see mental or illness as a real issue we shouldn't do something about, or we shouldn't look into. There is real resources out there available to help you if you deal with stuff like this. I am not that guy. I'm a comedian who says outlandish, slightly offensive, and grotesque stuff on the internet. Now that that's out of the way, I want to talk about another thing that is coming up. It's going to come up in this video. There are so many lines that can be drawn between the modern God of Wars and this. Because for some fucked off reason, in every video game developer's brain around this time period, and you can't call either of them a ripoff because this came out in 2017, God of War came out in 2018, there was way too much time in development for God of War to rip this game off. Also, like, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and all this shit, there was just, like, people had a hard-on, like, full, thrusty penises, or full bulging clits for, like, Valhalla type crack. Ragnarok is coming. Everything is fucking Vikings, and I don't understand why it's like the thing to talk about right now. It's like, oh well, we've done Greece, we've done whatever the Egyptians were. Oh well, now we gotta just like oversaturate the market with fucking Valhalla crap. And it's like one of the most, it's interesting lore, but there's not enough of it at times to where you can play two different games and not be learning the same history lesson. That's something that you should know going into this game. If you've played the God of War series, you will hear a lot of shit that you've already heard, and vice versa. If you've played this and you haven't played God of War 2018, you will hear a lot of the same regurgitated history talking points that you hear in this game because the lore isn't that deep. I mean, even the people who have like deep dive into this lore, there's not a ton of it, and there's tons of missing info about this era and this religion. It's just kind of a little bit here, a little bit there that they could pull from this time period because not a lot of people wrote things down because a lot of them didn't even know how to read and write. Now that we've gotten the lore background out of the way, let's get into the actual gameplay because that's something I want to highlight since we're right here. This game consists of Like, mostly puzzles and walking sections with a little bit of combat. The worst parts of this game are the walking sections and the little are in the puzzles. They are garbage. They are the same shit from beginning to the game to end of game. Senia runs like she or walks like she's fucking like crawling through semen. It's just like the slowest. It's drying and hardening, and it's getting worse by every second that you are stuck in this game. Another thing, when you're doing the puzzles, it is walk to area, look at thing from different angle, puzzle solved. It never changes. It might not be the exact same like symbol or the exact same fucking staircase, but it is the same shit. I mean, oh, they added in a door or they added in a mask. It is the same shit from beginning of game to end of game. Every time I had to do a puzzle, I was sick of it. It is something that desperately needs to be enhanced upon in a sequel, because if this is all you have to fucking offer with your puzzles, you need to go to like a deep seedy corner and do like a bunch of fucked off shit. Go to a really dark place, come back, put that into your game, and maybe I will fill my pants with semen out of excitement, but until then I'm dry and I'm fucking inverted. Now that I brought the two biggest horrible things in this game out in the forefront, I do want to say this is a good game. I enjoyed almost every second of this game outside of those two things, which sucks because that is most of this gameplay experience. I thought that the movement that Senua had was so slow and so irritating that I fucking almost quit this game like a billion times. This game would be half the length if she didn't run like she was like trotting through fucking vaginal discharge on a hot and then cold day. Like, it went from 100 to -5, and you're just constantly just shit. The one thing that a lot of people complain about in this game is the combat, and I think that was the highlight in this game. The combat is actually pretty and a well thought out combat system. Is it very in depth? No. I'm not going to go out here and say that it has a very in depth combat system. It's very by the numbers. It is straight up fucking Elden Ring, Dark Souls combat, slowed down and pulled in closer to your shoulder. Which, damn it, I guess I gotta complain about this game again. Why am I zoomed so fucking far close to the character? This is like playing an FPS game with like a 10 on your fucking FOV slider. I wanted to slide this FOV so far back because there is so many times that I died in combat because I was so fucking close to her shoulder. Like, cool, she has a shoulder tattoo. I don't give a flying nipple. Like, who cares? Why do I need to be this goddamn close to her? It is irritating. It is fucking annoying, especially when I'm having fun with this combat. And you have to solely the only issue with the combat is being that close to her shoulder. Because the only time you die, really, is when somebody pops up behind you and hear a voice say, like, he's going to put it in your butt. And you're like, oh no, he's going to put it in my butt. Well, I better turn around. And so you get a little loopity-doopity and fucking turn around, and then you get your awesome parry mechanics. Because, like, the combat in this game, when you fully, get engaged with this combat system, it is fun, and you can tear things up, and every swing of the sword feels meaty, and I really liked it. I see that this is a good beginning, and I really want to see what they do with the sequel to this game for this combat system, because I was having so much fun with this, especially the boss fights. The boss fights get nutty. I mean, I was tearing shit up. It has the gore I like in games. It has the visuals I like when I come to combat. So I'm hoping with the sequel that they really, really focus on the combat and really kind of shy away from the bullshit puzzles and the fucking walking sim sections. Even though I understand you do need some of these walking sims, these WAP sections, these fucking wet ass pussy sections. No, that would slap clit though. I mean, would this game still be M? No, this would be adult only and be on PC, and then you'd have a bunch of losers who are like, send you a waifu simulator, and they're just slapping their penis back and forth while she rubs her clit. But let's get back on track. Now that I've gotten that type of stuff out of the way, I want to talk about how amazing the story to this game is. This game is truly revolutionary. Jesus God damn Jesus, man. I've messed up there. But this game, when it comes to storytelling and like the cinematography, when it came to the level design, everything about this game's design is fantastic. I would have quit the game when I said that I did not like the puzzles as much as I did. Then the game consists of so many puzzles. The only reason I stuck with them is because of the level design in and of itself. It is gorgeous. This game from start to finish. I mean, just look at how brutal that scene, this cutscene is, dude. It's hard to tell when the cutscenes begin and the walking starts. It is a truly remarkably beautifully graphical game, and the downward spiral that you go on with Senua is just insane. And it does help that she's a hot protagonist. I know. She has schizophrenia. You shouldn't think she's hot. No, you're an asshole for thinking that. That makes you ableist. You're an ableist piece of shit. She is hot, even with the schizophrenia. I said it, bro. She's got some juiciness to her. I don't know what it is, but I was wildly attracted to her. It was like when Miley Cyrus came back and she like shaved part of her hair and was riding naked on a wrecking ball, and everybody I knew who lived with me in the country was like, oh, I liked Miley Cyrus when she was still a country girl. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. I think she's hotter now that she's crazy. I want her to ride me like that. And I kind of got that same vibe with Senua, so that did help with me pushing through the story, because every time she has these breakdowns, I'm like, I feel for her. I like truly engage with the character, and I think that that's something this game did really, really well. And it also helped that this game does not shy away from brutality. I mean, the whole story here is that Senua, her mom had schizophrenia, right? And then she was born with schizophrenia, but these stupid Neanderthals thought that schizophrenia came from hell, so she hears the voices of hell. So her dad, like, kept her locked up. And so she ends up falling in love with this guy. This guy ends up, like fucking her and him start banging it out, bro. They start fucking exchanging genital placements. They're putting the circle in the circle hole, baby. They're putting the square in the square hole. They're putting the penis in the vagina. And she fell deeply in love with him because he understood her. He was the first person to look past her issues and see her as a person, and I think that's dope. That is what makes a good relationship. If in real life you found that with somebody, that means that you actually found somebody you need to stick with. Just like me and my significant other, my wife, she understands me. I can say all the shit that I say on my YouTube channel and much worse to her, and she still loves me. She still will be willing to be with me because she understands the type of person I am behind the jokes. She understands my true intentions behind things, and that is what you get out of this game. It is rare that you see something built this well, especially when it comes to writing in even movies don't do it this well. It is crazy for me to say that because I have crapped on a lot of games for having too much cutscenes and being too much fucking narrative shoved down my throat. I think the one thing that saved this game is because of its schizo-ass structure. You are getting led different pieces of her story throughout the game, and you're getting these little nuggets that her voices are hiding from her. They're being little fucking dickheads, and she's just trying to slap her clit all the way through this story so that she can bring her lover back to life, because her whole village was killed by the Northmen. And the Northmen you don't really ever meet, but you just know that they, like that guy I showed you earlier in the game that was just spread fucking eagle on those things and his ribs were showing, yeah, that was her lover. And she had left because she thought she was the cause of this plague because of her voices were bringing the darkness on her village. What type of fucked off shit is that? Like, how goofy is that? I mean, people used to burn people on the stakes for, like, thinking they were witches just because, like, something bad would happen. That's such a goofy time era. Especially looking back at stuff like this through, like, a modern lens, right? I'm not gonna ever justify this shit, but in my head, I just picture, like, some guy, like, first time he ever was with a girl and she, like, squirts or something, and he's like, "Oh, witch! Burn her!" So he, like, puts her up, and they're like, "Why? Her vagina discharged things onto my wee-wee, so she must be a witch of the water." And, like, could you imagine? I just, that's how I picture this shit went down, and it's just goofy that that's how, like, things went at one time. I mean, not that exact scenario, but it's still crazy that people used to get burned at the stake for, like, mental issues. They would, like, be speaking in tongues because they're fucking crazy, and then all of a sudden, oh no, we gotta burn them. That's the only logical explanation. And then, like, just just to show how far we've come from this era. It's just nice to see that we don't burn women at the stake anymore. That's pretty based of us. That's pretty awesome. I mean, at that point, I think we've beaten the patriarchy. I mean, the fact that we don't burn women, that's a win. But now that Senua has found her dead lover, she wants to bring him back to life, so she's heading to Helheim. And bro, I'm telling you right now, once she gets to the doors of Helheim here, dude, and she sees this fucking Hela, it's Hela of Helheim, bro, this part gave me the heebie-jeebies, man. I was creeped the hell out at this part. I mean, do you see this monstrosity? And this is where the game kind of did something cool. Now, the enemy design is already kind of creepy, but it is very repetitive. And you can tell where they focused their money on this game, which I think was kind of a dumb decision, but it was with the graphics. Graphics aren't the type of thing to usually win me over, and they didn't win me over in this game, just even though it looked like I was watching a movie at times. It was so good. I was looking at, like, the enemy design, but I do have to say it did pay off in this one section right here where I see this stupid monster demon trying to eat her asshole, trying to get a taste of that chocolate starfish. I was like, bruh, this is like, look, dude, it's so terrifying in the size. It was just insane. And it's stuff like this that really made up for the crappy puzzles. And the only time I did enjoy one of these puzzles was this one right here that you're watching. And it's because they utilized that fear that they had to have given in like the cutscenes and some of the dark areas. This area, you're getting like followed by this being of fire through these hallways. You can see it right there. And if it gets at you, it kills you. And you do not want to die in this game, because supposedly, I never died in the game, but supposedly there's the fucking Valhalla AIDS that is crawling up your arm, which I forgot to mention because I got distracted, because this is an incredibly difficult video to do with the fucking source material I'm handed. But you got Valhalla AIDS crawling up your arm, and every time you die, it gets closer to your brain. And when AIDS gets to your brain, you have to start the entire game over, is what it told me. So I was just like, don't die. But yeah, this whole section, you're getting chased by this fucking thing while you're doing the little puzzle, and I thought that was cool. It ramped up the suspense, and it would have been nice if they would have done that a little earlier on, in my opinion, and then started switching up the fucking puzzles on me and stopped doing the look at this thing from the angle thing. I don't know, I thought that would have been nice, but it was one moment where I was like, okay, maybe these puzzles aren't so bad. But the real highlight of this game were, like I said, these moments, these dark, these gritty moments. Like, obviously, I said the highlight was the combat, which I still will stand behind, but when it comes to the walking section, the only time they really stood out were these dark, gritty sections. Like, there's this one you're watching right here, that when things start to ramp up, because Senua has finally gotten to fucking Helheim, sort of, and she's like now dealing with her past. She's dealing with the realities that have made her kind of developed her in this direction. She's always been schizophrenic, but what has made it worse are these dark moments that you're facing throughout in this game. You're really truly dealing with the worst sides of you, which I think is cool and very awesome. And you deal with these terrible areas to get this sword, because you broke your sword on the big Hela chick, and now you have like this cooler sword, which adds a new mechanic to the combat where you can hold attacks to where they do more damage. And this is where the game truly hooked me, because not only on one hand am I getting the really cool narrative shit going on, but it ramped up the combat at the same time, is which something that took way too fucking long for this game to do. But once it did, dear God, did my pants get tight. Not only did it get crazy, I mean, like right here, right, you start to see why Dylan she ran off from her lover, and it's because when this plague's going on, they start to blame her because of her dad was like, it's her schizophrenia that's causing the plague, and you're like, that doesn't make any sense by science, but whatever. And then her lover's dad dies, and he, in a moment of rage and despair, he tells Senua to leave. Because of his loss of his father, he can't process how things are, and so he tells her to leave because she is the cause of this plague. And you start to get these pieces, and you get this brutal imagery the further she gets into her own hell, because this is not Helheim. This is her personal Helheim that you're going through, because she's starting to realize the chain of events that led her to where she's at, because her own subconscious has been fighting her away from the realization of this, which is just fucking fantastic writing, helped by the fact of this great environmental storytelling happening during this moments too. You see Senya was being talked to by her dead mother this whole time. She's actually a face up on the mountains, and all these dead souls are like lingering around her while she blisters her ass cheeks through these warriors. And it's just all of these things lining up, and I feel like these moments in the later half of the game told me more of a story than the fucking puzzles or the walking sections. It was these action moments where just like going through these insane chaos moments that I was actually learning stuff about the games, because that's how you get my little fucking rabbit brain to work. Is you show what a sexy woman rabbit, and I start plowing away, and I want to be deep into those rabbit cheeks. You know what I mean? I want to deep dive into it. If I know that I have cool shit on the other side, and if I'm looking at cool shit while I'm doing it, this part of the game gave me old God of War vibes more than the modern God of War games did. This area of Helheim is how I would picture a God of War Helheim to look, and this game doesn't shy away from that, which is refreshing to see. As much as this game is kind of pulled down by the constraints and the annoyingness of modern video game storytelling, which is way too much dialogue, it has moments of insanely great gameplay and insanely great level design that tell a story that's so badass. I mean, just look at this fucking scenery in this game, dude. Just look at it and you'll be like, that looks like I should be playing God of War. And I as much as I like God of War 2018, when I look at this is how God of War 2018 should have looked on its levels. Now, do I want it to be like shoulder fucking him the whole time? No. And did I want Mimir like hanging off of his ass, smelling his ass crack? I mean, it was kind of funny, but she has a head on her ass crack too, so I guess that point is moot on that one. Everybody is getting ass to mouth resuscitation, I guess, in both of these games. But as you approach your mother's head carved into the hell that it lies before you, you begin to find out the truth behind her death. That she didn't leave you, that your father had her burned at the stake because the voices in her head, just like you are dealing with in this moment right here. And that just like embodies the shit that you've been seeing in this game, that's been shoveled down your fucking gullet, out through your asshole, through this entire thing like evil diarrhea. And these are the moments in this game too. Another thing that was going on at this exact same time is you're dealing with the fact that you didn't unalive yourself due to the love that Dylan once had for you, that he would have had if you would have just stayed and stuck through it with to deal with his grief the way that he helped you deal with yours. And I know that a lot of people might look at this game and be like, oh, men can't handle when a woman gets crazy or whatever, like some stupid Redditor will say. But I think that was one of the main things that is driving Senua to try to make up for this, is because she left him in his time of need, even though he stuck through it with her through hers. I mean, that's the way I looked at it. That's the reason I think that she took his head off of his pinned up body and is trying to bring him back, because she knows that she left him in his dire need of a friend, of a lover, of somebody who cared about him, because he lost one of the most important people to him. Throughout the whole game, he's giving you wisdom that has been passed down from his father. So losing his dad was such a huge moment. And during the whole game, you have this dark voice talking to you that's standing in your way at every turn, and it's the voice of her father. You find out it's her channeling her own dad in her own mind to embody itself as this evil wolf, because it's quote unquote protecting you when all it's doing is protecting itself. And I love the deeper messages in this game. If you want to dig and find them, they are there, and that is fucking based. And when you fight, the best part about dealing with your father's voice and him embodying himself as the dog of hell is just so cool, because you get to fight it firsthand. And I like when I get to kill things. I don't know, in video games I want to kill things, and so when I get to kill a giant wolf, sign me up, dude. And that's where this game ramps up in terms of combat and storytelling, and the fact that it's running side by side and you start seeing less of the annoying puzzles. Oh god, this game fully had me engaged at this point. I mean, I was like, I was sucking this down like your local glory hole. Dude, I was dripping in it, dude. Because though this game disguises itself as a woman's fight for her lover, it's also it's actually a story about somebody coming to terms with themselves, and that's truly what the person who loves them would want them to do. And what he told her their entire time together is that he just wanted her to come to terms with herself, to accept the beauty inside of herself, which is, if you've ever been in a true relationship and you've seen the person you care about like somber and distraught, and you want them to find what makes them great and to understand why you're still there in the moments where they don't understand why you're there. And that's the beauty of this part of this game. And that's what this is, to me, more interesting than all of the stupid fucking Valhalla shit that I've seen a million times. This is the meat and potatoes of the game. This is why I'm here. It's this storytelling. And the people at Ninja Theory really understood how to make you feel more about this stuff. Because, like, I'm not gonna lie, I did not care about any of this Valhalla stuff because I've seen it a million times. But I have not seen this story a million times. It was honestly something I did not expect to be in love with. It was something that halfway through this game, I paused it, went to something else, watched some TV. I mean, I work a full-time job, and I was just like, I gotta play more Senua's Saga. I gotta play more Hellblade. And I hit the wall in this game, which I'm begging you, viewer, I'm begging you, if you play this game, stick with it, because there's a moment where the game shifts, and you get this grandiose jump in quality, and gameplay, and narrative that will truly have you edging to the point of seed. You know what I mean? I mean, one of the grand moments is right before you enter where Hella lives. You look into a mirror only to see the person that has been narrating the whole story, that is you, which you knew it was you, and that's why it has the shitty camera angles, because it's supposed to be over your shoulder. But to truly look yourself in the eye and say that I don't care about you, that you don't exist, that I can move on without you or with you, you decide. It's me, I have a goal, and I will accomplish it. And that is the dream. That is the American dream, is having a goal, and no matter what, pushing through and accomplishing said goal. And I know I said American dream, but that should be the dream for everyone, is having a solid dream to push for. And no matter how beat down you get, no matter how much blood pours out of your anus, out of the side of your ear holes, you will accomplish that goddamn goal. And watching Senua's mom burn at the stake, and knowing that her mom was never able to accomplish her dreams because the person that she had by her side did not see the good in her, did not fight for her, but she had somebody that would fight for her, that makes her want to keep fighting on, is just fucking poetic and beautiful. I mean, I never thought that I would see a moment this dark and brutal and see the beautiful poetry behind it. And I sound like such a dweeb loser for saying that, but I do. I truly feel the moments in this game, because it's like if she would have just stayed, and yeah, she would have been killed by the Northmen, but if she would have stayed with Dylan, she would have died with Dylan, and they would have both been able to see each other for who they truly are. And it's just, it was something that, like, it makes you want to fight. It makes you want to push forward and just give this hella bitch a sword between the titties. And I have to say that right here, this game did something that modern God of War wouldn't do either. And I know I keep bringing God of War up, but it's the Valhalla thing. But this chick, and I tried to be really careful with what I showed in this end area, because Hella, even though she's a statue, she's got nipples. And this game has nudity, based, fucking red-pilled, awesome. I mean, one of my biggest gripes with the modern two God of War games is the old God of War games had nipples all over the place. But for some reason, the game about the schizo bitch, it has nipples? Fucking great. This game felt like more of a God of War game than God of War did at times, because of the fact that it wasn't afraid to it wasn't running away from the brutality. God of War feels like an MCU movie now, and this feels like a fucking, like, indie dark horror suspense film that's like a grittier God of War. And if they would have just like put a little more time in the combats and less time on the puzzles, this game could have been better than, or not better than God of War, but I think could have lived up there, because I know this studio can build great combat, because this area right here where you're just shredding through your enemies is sick as shit. You feel like a god in this area, and it's so cool, and the combat fully ramps up, and you finally can deal with the shield douchebags without waiting forever. Oh, dude, I was just fucking blistering in my pants. I was so juicing. There was so much clip being slapped, I couldn't even handle it anymore. And to me, this is how you still tell an edgy, dark story. I mean, yes, do I have my gripes with this game? Absolutely. But I believe that I deserve a like, subscribe, and comment just because I found a modern game that was narrative-driven, third person, that wasn't afraid to still have nudity and gore. And still have that high production cost that everybody seems to like jizz on their toes over, and then download Feet Finder so they can jizz on their phone screen. And this all bottles up to basically what I had said a million times in this, that this was never a fight to bring back her lover. This was a fight to deal with who she is and who she's become, and how to deal with the monsters of her, the monsters of who she is, because Hella is not real. Hella is a figment of her imagination and an embodiment of the darkness that is herself. I mean, shit, the last combat encounter of this game, you're not even supposed to win. You're supposed to get overwhelmed and get broken down to nothing to deal with the fact that you have lost in your journey to bring your lover back, but it was never about that, and I think that is just so beautiful. And if I could have a few moments to talk about what I want to see in a sequel for this game, I'll lay it out for you right here at the end of this video. One, I want them to fix the combat a little bit, tweak it to where it has a little bit more action style, where I can like double up the kills, you know, where I can attack multiple people at once, because it kind of has that in this game, but kind of not, and it hard focuses you on enemies. Two, I would like them to pull the camera back a bit so that you can see a little bit better on what's going on. Three, I want them to speed up the walking and the sprint so I don't feel like I'm running through drying semen. Four, let's add in some diversity when it comes to puzzles. And all those people who say that the sequel needs to be longer, I don't see that. I like the pacing of this game, the way it sets. I think that this is the perfect length for it. I don't think we need every game to be fucking 40 hours. I think if they just tighten up the combat, tighten up the movement, and kind of cut down on the puzzles, I think that the sequel could be a truly amazing game. It would be action-packed, dark, gritty. I'm so excited to see what they do with the sequel to this. And that's something I thought I would never say. This game was never something that, when I jumped in, I thought was marketed toward me or I would ever enjoy. It is a lot of things that I don't enjoy in games, but the way it's executed kept me engaged, and the combat was good enough to make it feel like a necessary part of the story and not just a tool to push the story forward, and I appreciated that. I felt that this whole experience was well made, and I would love to see the improvements on a sequel. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, and comment, baby. I'm out.